The following video contains spoilers. We suggest watching the episodes alone in the dark. What up, Wolfpack? We're back! And once more, we take another downtown drive into the polarizing pad we call the 2000s Twilight Zone, in a new desperate hope to find any lost gold. Holla! Silencio, Pinky. Well, our last trip into the 2000s era of the franchise ended with a surprisingly decent modern scary story, so I wasn't too worried about returning into this show's era for another go-around. Especially since I think we found a rare good tale of suspense from this series. Yes, really, I think I've really discovered an actual good episode from the 2000s Twilight Zone. Now, for today's weird Twilight Zone misadventure, we actually receive a surprising change of events for us all. The 2000 show finally delivering a few good lessons for the audience and actually being competent at it. I know, I'm shocked too. So, how did the same show go from teaching us that 9/11 was secretly an inside job to real smart writing that's relatable? Well, this episode attempts to explore a real-world problem that does need some serious addressing even by today. Gang violence. Yep, the 2000s Twilight Zone wants to teach us why gangs are bad, and doing so through an elaborate supernatural tale of high fantasy. Now, out loud, that might sound totally moronic, but considering that horror and gangster plots are two polar opposite genres as one could get, I was still a curious little kitten who was fascinated how the show could pull it off. I mean, come on, a supernatural story with modern-day gang drama and dark cautionary themes? That sounds right up the Twilight Zone's alley. Then again, this is the same show that also gave us horny creepers jacking off to VR games, warnings that the government caused 9/11, and a whole nightmare about a white guy cursed to turn black. So you'd all be forgiven if you're still a tad skeptical about this show pulling off a miracle. They say that most art goes unappreciated, but when you live on the streets, expressing yourself creatively is an even greater difficult task to overcome. But I've got this episode's back. Was this story indeed a beautiful work of imagination with any badass street cred? Or should we bust a cap at it and dump it back in the gutter with all the other failures? Well, that's what we plan to find out. So grab your popcorn and don your sickest hoodies because we're heading down the wrong side of the tracks in the grim turf known as the Twilight Zone. This is our wacky review on the 2000 show's underrated tale of dread, Tagged. Tagged? You're it! No, Pinky. So, our episode opens up in a dark alley, somewhere in the inner city of LA, where we spot some gang thugs getting pissed off at a random street artist they spy on for painting over their gang insignia, thus insulting their title of owning these roads. Oh, I get it. He's tagging over their tag. This episode is called Tagged because tagging is what most folks call street graffiti. Oh, real cute, Twilight Zone. You mean it's not an episode about evil freeze tag? Nope. Wait until Reboot Goosebumps adapts The Beast from the East. Pissed off at this renegade street artist, the gang comes to one conclusion to solve this ordeal. Kill him. Yep, the plot is set into motion when this gang of idiots decide to kill a stranger, all because they hated him for dissing their one gang logo. We soon meet our main character, a newbie gangsta with a heart of gold deep down, named Marcus Fisher, who only joined this gang because he wants friends who will watch his back, and is desperately trying to impress the douches here so he can be cool like them. Marcus is played by Todd Williams, who has mainly starred in crime shows, typically as either a cop or a gangbanger. And even on here, a supernatural horror series, he still can't escape playing crime drama-related characters. Jeez, dude, you could try to experiment with other genres, you know. To be fair, I do think Todd Williams does a fantastic job on this episode, since you really do sympathize with Marcus here, and the show manages to portray Fisher as a good tragic villain who you don't want to see suffer in the end. I dare say that Marcus is one of the few well-written characters we have seen on the show so far, since he is likable enough to keep watching and root for. Of course, this is the Twilight Zone, so tick-tock, we've got a conflict to trigger. Marcus wants to impress his gang pals, a gang seriously dubbed the Deuces. Hey, I think that was the same gang the Joker rolled with. And Marcus wants to show them that he's totally gangsta by volunteering to handle their little problem himself. Where everyone's favorite Star Wars hero, Saw Gerrera, comes out to give us the opening stats.
Marcus Fisher's a tagger, an advanced man, if you will, for the A Street Deuces. The gang armed with the usual vices and willing to do anything to show the world just fools. Marcus is about to get schooled in a little thing called consequence. Because tonight, just down that alley, he'll make his own mark in the Twilight Zone.
Did Forrest Whitaker really say he's about to get schooled? Oy vey, this show, I tell ya. Anyways, Marcus tries intimidating the randy artist, but the tagger is completely unimpressed and carries on. Kind of a bizarre non-reaction to gangbanger threats, but I do admire how this guy is pretty ballsy. The tagger here reveals that he's repainting this wall with something more wholesome, something nicer, something that shows the kids on these mean streets to not fear gang thugs, that shows the good side of humanity rather than wannabe bully logos. Aw, that's so sweet. He's a good boy, which we all know means he won't be living much longer. Marcus still tries to impress his stupid gang crew by showing that he's got this when he threatens to kill the tagger over the picture. But even then, the tagger remains unfazed and calls him out for being stupid.
Hey, I need you to stop. You ready to die for that?
Random tagger would be good at CinemaSins. As you can guess, this leads to a fight between the two, where things get real.
You're a big freaking man, huh? What you doing?
Naturally, Marcus and crew retreat, where they hide in the toughest gang crib on this side of the city. Lucky for Marcus, he got his wish. The gang thugs praise Marcus for finally being a total badass, for capping off that guy for dissing their emblem, and even give him congratulatory high fives.
High five! All right!
However, Marcus's character arc is also triggered here, when the bro actually feels remorse for killing the poor unarmed tagger, since his first kill changed him. No, not like that. Sometime later, our protagonist goes out for an angst walk down Crime Alley, where he sees that a new picture has been drawn on the wall. A picture of the dead guy. Yep, the conflict begins when a spooky drawing appears to show Marcus that somebody saw his crime. Wow, decent start, Twilight Zone. No bullcrap padding whatsoever. I am wondering where this is heading, so that's a good sign. The next day, Marcus covers up the art omen, but then gets tackled and harassed by the cops. Just another day of the black man dealing with the police. Am I right, peeps? Lord, I miss the days when that was just a goofy joke. Fortunately, our homeboy Marcus gets saved by the local town priest, a pal of Marcus's and a respected community member who vouches for our main man. This is Reverend Rosas. He's the cool priest in the neighborhood, the radical authority figure who's hip with the kids, and who frequently serves the city by counseling troubled street kids, so they don't end up like savage gangbangers, since God loves all, and forgives those who stay on the righteous path of good.
Just look at her culture. Lady Gaga? Where's Lady God? Justin Bieber? How about Jesus believer? Facebook? No thank you. I'll take the good book.
When you get down to it, Reverend Rosas acts as Marcus's moral compass, who attempts to steer our main character down the light side. He does have a history with Marcus, as explained in his exposition dump, and he is one of the few entertaining characters in this, since he's both a good guy and his awkward dialogue is hilariously like an after-school special. Seriously, this whole story just reeks of those elementary school PSAs, but set in the Twilight Zone, which I love a lot. Admittedly, even the classic Twilight Zone taught lessons in super cheesy ways as well, so it's not too out there. So the Reverend here is a good guy, and his message is respectable enough to still enjoy. However, I am going to call him Priest Buddy from now on, since those are his only main character traits. He's a holy man, and he's Marcus's buddy, therefore he's a Priest Buddy.
Logical.
Priest Buddy warns Marcus that the cops are on edge. Well, more than normally on edge, since somebody died last night. A beloved artist named Henry Santos got shot, who was, of course, that poor nice tagger Marcus killed. And Priest Buddy is going around telling everyone to stay safe and very careful. Otherwise, more people could end up dead like poor Santos. Which makes Marcus even more depressed when Priest Buddy tells him to be good.
Irony!
We cut to Marcus taking his shower of shame, where our main man remains haunted by the brutal kill he'd done. I do love how this episode reminds us that Marcus is sympathetic overall, since it's clear how he does regret his screw-up and shows us that he's nothing like the one-note douches he's trying to fit in with. It grants Marcus a morally gray story arc where he walks the line between good and evil. Since he doesn't want to go to prison for his misdeed, he's afraid of what his gang might do to him if he shows guilt for offing a man, and the episode did show that Santos's death might have been an accident, since they both panicked during the struggle. However, Marcus struggles to do the right thing because he did want to join a gang for friendship's sake, and he thinks the death might help him gain a badass reputation among his crew. The writing is really decent here, since it doesn't make Marcus an irredeemable bastard who doesn't deserve a change of heart. So you actually care for him. We don't want to see him get sent to prison, but he does have to face the music for his misdeed. Good stuff. Things aren't made easier though, since Marcus surrounds himself with some other bad influences. We cut to him chatting away with his smoking hot girlfriend, who, wouldn't you know it, is also a gang member in the Deuces, attempting to console Marcus as they make their bed.
But as for them sheets, a habita, 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 habita,
So anyways, Marcus's hot girlfriend here is actually the cousin of the Deuces gang leader, and she's trying to get him in good with their crew. However, this also shows us that she has a toxic relationship with our main character, and is also influencing him to join the dark side. While she's not an abuser or anything too extreme like that, she is ultimately a toxic relationship for Marcus, since she wants him to join her gang and horrifically blows off Santos' death by telling Marcus he's better off among the douche gang than living on the street. What a prize. She also theorizes that the ominous tag is really somebody screwing with them, possibly a rival gang trying to scare him, or a snitch threatening to rat them out. A reasonable argument, but that doesn't lessen her nasty effects on her boy toy. Thanks to her, he's convinced to remain in the crew, where we then cut to the gang crib as Marcus gets a wild welcome party and an official tattoo, showing the world that he's one of them now.
So he's got a little ink, big whoop.
Once more, the thugs praise Marcus for being a stone-cold killer, and showing that tagger that nobody screws with their branding. The Deuces control this hood.
Bad problem, Picasso. Watch it, y'all. Deuces wild. Deuces wild, boy. Wild, baby. Deuces, new guy.
However, in spite of obtaining his Grand Theft Auto dreams, Marcus, for some reason, doesn't feel happy like he should be. Gee, I wonder why. The next day, Marcus gets a surprise visit from Priest Buddy, who wants to talk to him as he offers to take our anti-villain out for a ride, since he has something special he wants to show him. As they ride along, Priest Buddy unlocks Henry Santos' backstory for us. You see, Santos was apparently a young rising artist from the block who had his whole life ahead of him. He received big awards, fame in magazines, recognition, and he was going to accomplish great things in his future. Up until he was tragically killed. Yeah, I would say that might hinder your life's work a bit. The priest compares Marcus to the fallen artist, since Marcus is evidently a tagger too, who strived to make it out in the art world like Santos. But somewhere along the line, he gave up and settled for crap. Marcus used to be a good boy who idolized Priest Buddy and wanted to grow up into a famous artist too. But alas, life's obstacles slowed him down, costed him friendships, and made him feel worthless, to the point of joining a gang that might give him the love he always wanted. Oh, so he's kind of like Vincent from DC Showcase Death, which I reviewed, by the way, but angsting about being with gangsters. And black. Katana! Making the murder victim a foil to Marcus was a smart move, because it reveals Marcus's growing sympathy and provides some depth for the dead man, so we'd feel sorry for Santos's tragic fate. That is more than what we usually get in most modern horror stories these days, so I do like this angle. The show also does a good job keeping the plot rolling, since while this nice moment is occurring, the vile gang leaders spot Marcus chatting up with Priest Buddy, making them suspect that he's a snitch. Oh boy! Priest Buddy is telling Marcus all of this since he wants to help our lost soul avoid the path to the dark side, be a good boy, and not end up dead like poor Santos. So he aids our main man Marcus here by trying to reach out to him because unlike the dick gang idiots, he cares, offering him his sage advice.
Don't ask me what's ours. Victoria's Secret catalog? That's ours.
Ah, words of wisdom from the great 2000s Twilight Zone. However, they arrive at their destination, where Priest Buddy reveals that he also brought him here to show him that something interesting he found. Where we see that the ominous paint tag has been redrawn, showing Santos's corpse, but this time with a sinister stranger standing over him with a deuce's tattoo. Yep, the drawing is slowly becoming a visual replica of Marcus's murder, meaning that he has to discover a resolution to this drama one way or another. A part of this story really feels like it was inspired by A Telltale Heart. If you don't know, it was a plot about a lying murderer being haunted by his guilty conscience until he confessed the truth and atoned for his sins, which is a lot like this story, but set in a gangland. However, instead of a beating heart being heard, our protagonist here is getting haunted by visions, and a magic painting is slowly forming a picture of him as the monster he truly is. I quite like that aspect a lot, since it does give off a more memorable gimmick here, as opposed to what most of these 2000s Twilight Zone tales receive. I've heard rumors that Tagged was based on a short story by an author named Charles Largent, but I have not located more information about it. Though I think this episode definitely uses greater homages to the Telltale Heart horror. Charles Largent's story might be good, but you should probably look it up to see for yourself. It's not as good as the haunting hours the cast was at it, but the setting here leaves some very memorable visuals and establishes a good tone for its own style. I do like all of this so far. The show hasn't done anything horrible in the slightest yet, but just wait until we approach the final act. The next night, Marcus paints over the haunted graffiti wall at the crime scene again, with absolutely no cops anywhere in sight. Huh? Where the heck are the police in this city? But if you can believe it or not, we actually get a scary scene. After Marcus repaints over the cursed art, he camps in the alleyway all night, hoping to catch the mystery tagger in the act. But when he shuts his eyes for 1 minute, dun dun dun, the painting reappears. But this time with some still wet, fresh paint, and now the shooter looks a lot like him. Wow, that's actually a nice creepy scene reboot. Kudos. So yep, the haunted tag is magic after all, and no human force can stop it from revealing the truth.
The truth will be revealed! Woohoo! Right on Squidward!
Now, some of you are probably asking, hey Cat, what's causing the magic wall to redraw the tag every time Marcus erases it? Well,
It was gone.
Okay. The easy answer the Twilight Zone usually goes with, even during the Rod Serling period, is that it could be God at work, trying to make Marcus confess to his sins. God is a canon character in the Twilight Zone franchise, after all. And since a holy man and confessions are in this, it can be theorized that God is trying to make Marcus repent, or else damning him. However, this is my other theory. The wall might actually be haunted by the ghost of Henry Santos. Think about it. Santos's final words to Marcus were warning him that the Deuces are nothing but pathetic killers. The drawing that keeps popping up is showing the shooter as a monster for killing the poor man. The first thing the drawing shows is Santos's corpse. It's in his art style. The wall was where he died at. The priest brings up Santos a lot, and Marcus cannot stop seeing his tragic murder. This episode is also about whether or not our main man can confess to his crime and admit his guilt for the murder. I think the ghost graffiti is Santos' spirit haunting the area until he can get justice for his demise. I know the episode doesn't directly say that, but it's implied that way, since Santos has a greater effect on the characters, and the episode hints that this is the magic at play. The ghost graffiti is not only seen by our main protagonist, but all the characters can see it. I kind of like that idea, since the Twilight Zone teases that it could be Santos' ghost, or it could be the other reason.
It was a god.
Either way, it does finally make an episode that feels like it's taking place in the Twilight Zone, so I'd say it's a unique mystery. God or Ghost Santos? You make the call. Back in the plot, Marcus panics over how this could be, but he slowly starts facing his guilt again. However, his girlfriend tells him to not think about it, because word got out that Marcus was getting too close to Priest Buddy, and the gang assumes that our bro is going to snitch on them, so she fears they might do the worst to him.
They saw you with Rosa. They think he might try to get you to confess, and then start snitching on everyone. And if they think that you are snitching to the cops through Rosa, it ain't gonna mean much, even if my cousin Strang is the leader of the Deuces.
Notice how she was only worried about Marcus causing tension in the gang, and not about his own fractured mind. Subtle hints at how caring she really is. She warns Marcus to chillax, yet he struggles to do so, and he heads out to clear his demons. Marcus has a private meeting with Priest Buddy, where the Reverend reveals the blatantly obvious, that he knows Marcus was the guy who shot Santos, thanks to the oh-so-subtlety of the magic wall. And this is the point where the story goes full-on after-school special on us. If it hasn't been obvious to you guys yet, well, this entire Twilight Zone tale is anti-gang violence and anti-peer pressure. The writers use this whole episode as a well-meaning cautionary tale, warning both adults and younger viewers that gang life is not all it's cracked up to be, and ultimately, you should do good by being yourself instead of trying to dedicate your life towards impressing others. Especially the others who don't deserve your friendship and take you for granted. Don't get me wrong, I like that message, I really do. It's an important lesson to teach people that... However, what irks me is the dialogue. It's how it's presented to us. Priest Buddy basically tells Marcus that he should dump those bad influences and have faith in himself because he can be somebody without those pricks. But it's just stated in a way that feels way too scripted and way too cheesy. This Twilight Zone tale thinks that its writing is on par with something like Breaking Bad, but it feels more in line with Static Shock. No offense to Static, I love Static Shock, but you see where I'm going with this? The show is trying to sound adult about these serious issues, but the after-school special design of the script makes it lean more towards child-friendliness, which simply makes what should be a strong, powerful moment feel a tad silly. Some of you guys might crack up laughing at how cheesy it goes, or worse, cringe at the way Priest Buddy and Marcus talk it out. I swear, it honestly feels so anvilicious that I think this storytelling was mocked by the Looney Tunes.
Is that what happened? Is that the way you're gonna tell everybody how it went down? Cause you know something. But you're afraid of what the deuces will do, huh? So wrong.
You're afraid of the truth, aren't you?
I ain't afraid of nothing.
Oh, yeah, you're proud of that? Is that you? Is that how you're gonna live?
That's a freaking picture, man.
That's how you're gonna die. That's not a tattoo. That's a brand. You're their slave. They own you. You think that String and that bunch care about you?
Damn right they care.
Well, they don't. They care about the wrong things. The only reason they keep you around is just to keep you down. Because they know what I know. That you can be something else. And they can.
You're not gonna find what you're looking for on the street. How do you know? Because I used to be just like you. I wasn't always a respected member of society. In fact, I used to be so wild and crazy, they actually called me Daffy.
Yep, you saw that. Even the dang Looney Tunes made fun of this dated style of drama. Cliched speeches, ugh. And they only get sillier and sillier.
Roses. You got out of the game, right? Well, that's good. First, I mean.
Not having to look over my shoulder.
Excuse me, waiter, I ordered some mac with my cheese. I'm sorry, but this is the only bad element I think harms the story. The dialogue is very much in your face about where it's going, and despite what I still view as a good narrative, it makes the episode's plot a little unintentionally humorous. I know the Twilight Zone is well known for its cheesy moments even by today, which is why I can say that this doesn't ruin the story, but it's still the weakest part of this experience overall.
We ain't got time for this after-school special crap.
Alright, aside from the cheesy speeches, Priest Buddy realizes that Marcus is lying because the dude is afraid of prison and fears the Deuces gang's wrath. But he also tells off his buddy for ignoring the truth, that the gangbangers are crappy friends, and he should amount to better. The priest doesn't turn him in, but his faith in Marcus is shaken once our anti-villain continues running away from his serial issues. Marcus soon gets confronted by his bad homies, the who are pissed, and they threaten Marcus because they think he's betrayed them by talking to the local priests about their legitimate business. And it's here where it's finally made loud and clear to us and Marcus that the gang cronies are false friends to the guy. They don't care about his feelings or his broken mental state whatsoever. They're more worried about getting caught rather than helping their new buddy deal with his emotional baggage. Wow, what grade A monsters. When the chips are down, they go from Marcus's bros into idiot bullies bossing the poor guy around and teasing him when he needs help. Jeez, I wish I had thumbs to shoot them up myself.
Good gracious, I should bust a cap in your ass.
See, kids, this is why you should never rely on gangs.
Gang life sucks.
Luckily, before it spirals into black-on-black murder, his girlfriend comes by to save the day. At the last minute, of course, because it's more dramatic that way. The girlfriend begs her cousin to spare her Marky, stating that he's not a traitor! Because the magic wall has a new drawing on it, proving his loyalty. We then cut to a shocking scene where all the characters build up to the new mystery pick, which now fully shows a nutshot cartoon of Marcus gunning down Santos. And much to my utter shock, the gangbangers react in a way that I really didn't see coming. Rather than being pissed off at Marcus, they're all actually impressed. Yeah, the Deuce's douches are really blown away by all this and actually congratulate Marcus. They believe that Marcus drew this tag himself and praise him for having the steel balls to pull this off, thinking he did this to flaunt his badassery reputation as a savage killer to scare off all the rival gangs.
High five! All right!
Yep, they praise the guy, allow him to live, and end their role in this plot by saying that Marcus truly is one of them now. Thanks to this action, he's in for life. Gotta say, I didn't expect that, but it seems my investment in this paid off.
I'm intrigued.
So everything's cool now. But at long last, Marcus finally has his heel realization once he takes a good long look at the picture, realizing that he's been a bad boy. And this is not the life he wanted at all.
Good life sucks. I heard that. I'm gonna keep my next baby.
Wow, this is really emotional. Good play, Reboot. I love it. He tells his girlfriend to leave him alone so he can think to himself. And by think to himself, I really mean do the Reagan tactic of tearing down this wall.
Reagan smash! Reagan smash! What's that?
Oh, it's just Reagan. Just leave him alone. He'll tire himself out.
Reagan sleepy.
But get this, even after wrecking the haunted wall all night, he wakes up finding the cursed picture somehow tattooed on his chest. What? The supernatural forces somehow magicked a tattoo on him? Huh?
I don't know what the hell's going on in the most wonderful way.
So Marcus then runs across town screaming to the cops and priest buddy that he was the one who killed Santos. But when he tries showing them his new haunted tattoo, it's gone. Oh, I get it. The magic pictures would only disappear whenever Marcus eventually spoke the truth, thus freeing him from the curse that literally haunted him until he confessed his sins and confronted his guilt. Whoa, good one, Ghost Santos.
No, it wasn't. It was God.
Oh, shut up, Hank Hill.
Well, fuck you, friend. You're game.
And like I said, Marcus confesses that he shot Santos, and does the right thing, saying that it was all an accident and he never intended to hurt anyone.
I shot Santos. I know. I didn't do it. I know that too. You're not a killer, Marcus. Yellow. Yellow. Yellow.
I beg to differ. Despite speaking the truth, Marcus sadly goes to jail to atone for his wrongdoings, but Priest Buddy vows to still be there by his side. And we conclude this tragedy with Detective Turlington's closing narration.
Mark on the wall. Beat down to the skin. Easy enough things to remove with enough pain and effort. But only an act of contrition could erase the tag on Marcus Fisher's soul in the Twilight Zone.
Wait, was Forrest Whitaker the ghost tagging the wall the whole time? Well, thanks for putting that image in my head, Reboot. Twilight Zone watcher playing street artists. Regardless, that was the end of the Twilight Zone's cautionary tale, Tagged. Holy smokes, this episode was pretty amazing. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually loved it. Yeah, loved it. I think this might be the first time ever this reboot truly felt like a modern-day Twilight Zone adventure. It feels like serious effort went into this, along with good morals, decent character development, memorable visuals, depressing tragedy, good acting for a change, and an effective narrative. I love this! But alright, let's get the bad stuff out of the way first. So, what's going to be Mean Old Cat's reasons for not giving a perfect score this time? Well, like I rambled on, it's the dialogue. This dialogue feels super cheesy.
You got out of the gang right, right? What got good? First, I mean. Not having to look over my shoulder. I'll see you around. Oh, God damn it. You went too far, and now I'm covered in cheese. Oh.
I won't dwell too much on this, since the episode is overall fantastic, but the way the characters speak at times just feels hilariously awkward, and might affect the serious mood this tale strives for. But I still don't think it soils everything. The old school Twilight Zone did have its own fair share of B-movie dialogue, so I don't think it's fair to hate on this reboot for doing it too. Your heart's in the right place tagged, but it could have used some reworking in a few areas, mainly during Priest Buddy's serial talks with Marcus. But that's the only negative thing I have to say about it. Everything else in this tale is on point. The drama is impactful, Marcus is actually sympathetic and likable, the scary moments are definitely unnerving, the moral is good in the grand scheme of things, the narrative never bores you for a nanosecond, the character arc is exquisite, the wall's visuals are super effective. The storytelling is kept simple enough to follow, and the highest achievement of all, this tale feels like a modern-day Twilight Zone. Many of this reboot's tales fail in epic proportions to reach that height, but this story feels like this show could have been something great if the other episodes tried as hard as this one did. The writers seemed to actually care about the cause they were shining a light on, so they made it function. And in the end, being almost in the same league as everyone's favorite horror icon is the best compliment I can ever give this tale of suspense. You really know how to paint a good picture, writers. So, I grant this anti-gang horror story a gold skull. It came so close to a perfect score, but like I whined on and on about, the dialogue needs a rewrite. Other than that, so much of this story feels awesome. At times, it almost reaches the Haunting Hours cast levels of cool. While it's mainly a tragedy, showing us how toxic relationships and violence can lead us astray, it's excellently done thanks to everyone giving it their all. It probably won't break records or be remembered as a silver lining for the 2000 series, but I think it needs to be respected more thanks to its timeless teachings and emotional journey. So, it should be no secret that I thought it was okay and might recommend it. Just a little. Check it out if you finally want to see a good attempt at a modern-day Twilight Zone story, because like Marcus, it has so much more to offer us than you'd think. While not all of this show's episodes are fondly remembered as legends, Tagged is certainly worth a watch, since it leaves behind an image that can never be erased. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I hope you folks never join gangs. or else you'll die all alone shot up in a crack house. See you all next time!
We don't give a damn, yo, this is who we be. Just like the old school rapper, cool and